Want to speak a little bit to your origins as a vegan?
Absolutely. I would like to share a piece that I've been working on for a couple of years, and perhaps just preface this by saying that I don't do this sort of thing. So this is me embracing you and sharing with you my truth. So here I go. My reason for being vegan is to redeem freedom, achieve, breathe in breath, not stressed by a culture of death that seeks to insult your sensibilities with facilities designed to blind eyes and disguise lies comprised of rape, torture, and murder of the planet and all that inhabit her. For your burger, fries, and Coke, my hope is to provoke action. I promote the sickening system collapsing. We must continue smashing these industries that thrive on the misery of the masses. Oppression under capitalism is massive, but without us, it vanishes. No bandages can handle this cancerous consumption of so-called resources. For instance, Japan's resorted to eating horses to support its sushi habit, now that tuna populations can no longer handle it. But the candle's lit at both ends because while the West condemns Eastern practices, it pretends to be making amends with Mother Earth by buying green and eating so-called humane meat. All the while, shit gets worse. From birth to death, many beings are stressed, stretched, kept in cages, cramped spaces to produce anything from milk to silk to a book's pages. Our rage is against this machine's obscene dream to control this whole planet and all inhabitants. We've had it to the root like the Latin radic, and like any addict's high crashes. The end of modern-day slavery under ugly companies like Apple that use USB cables to whip us out of sync, and behind the scenes it seems they have an app used to abuse, distract, and attack us that they aptly call eyelashes. But like the true sufferers of trichotillomania, they are like their eyelashes, frail. Their mission fails when we begin the decolonization process and recognize that we, the plants and seeds, all animals and trees, land, air, and sea, are not objects to be exploited, period. The myriad of ways toward total liberation need not be mysterious. History is rich with experience, from indigenous resistance to the insurrection of enslaved Africans, to other animals fighting back from centuries of attacks, and even diseases from factory farming's egregious procedures. The earth speaks of her struggle through the cities left in rubble in the wake of natural disasters. The chapter of capitalism closes when we expose this sickening system for what it really is, and from that point we can truly live lives devoid of mechanized, colonized, hollow lies. Once we finally open our eyes to see this future crystallized, simultaneously we all get wise to our collective size in comparison to theirs. The oppressed versus oppressor paradigm flares to the point of toppling. Once we embrace what we all came to this planet to do in the first place, and in case you forgot, we're meant to lead lives content, spent cultivating ourselves and others, liberation from all systems of oppression, finally free to step in whatever direction, a truly autonomous collection of communities, maneuvering whatever section of the planet with absolute respect and consent from the original inhabitants. Abandonment of divide and conquer tactics that no longer limit our access because of the skin we're in or whatever life form we're born. It's time we're torn from the pages that enslave us and make dust, the culture of pretend, so unfriend Facebook and all the other anti-social cyber circles and embrace your internal personal journals and take a look deep inside your being to connect with the keys you'll use for our collective freeing.
Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Brilliant, totally brilliant. And you hit on something that we're not necessarily going to get into at the panel, but just the politics of veganism is there's a direct connection between veganism and politics. And you touched on it because capitalism, by its very nature, exists only by the commoditization of life and by making it such that people's lives are what they can sell in terms of their time. That's what they get in return in terms of food, because they've traded the money they've earned with their time for food. So, when we think about a vegan diet, as, not having life be a commodity that we use and abuse and then just discard the remnants of, we realize that we've politicized, or at least begun to politicize ourselves when we think about, taking on a vegan diet. And that's a whole other panel, a whole other world, but you touched on all of it quite brilliantly. That was quite excellent.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool. Has everyone seen the Vegan Black Metal Chef's videos? How many people have not seen it? So there might be a few people in the room who are just like, what the hell is happening? A few months back, I started hearing about this vegan black metal chef. And people were like, have you seen the vegan black metal chef? Just like, sure, whatever. I've seen that and the singing squirrel and the dancing whatever video, and just there's a million things to watch on YouTube. It's just like, leave me alone. And then they kept talking about it. I'm like, okay, it must be some funny cartoon. And I'm just like, still leave me alone. And finally one night I'm like, okay, fine, Vegan Black Metal Chef, whatever. I click on this video. And there's this guy, he's a black metal guy, and he's making pad thai. And that fact in and of itself had me so in tears laughing and in awe that I was literally 3 minutes into this 14-minute or so long video calling friends and family. Some of them I knew would hate the video, right? You know, just based on they don't like black metal. Just like, you have to watch this, I'm dying. You have to see the funniest thing that's ever been done in the history of the world. Okay, so hey, Black Metal Chef. One of the things that about veganism that I think all the time as I travel around the world is that it's fun, meaning that I connect with people who are vegan all over the place, who always want to say, you know, hey, you're in Warsaw, we have the best place to eat here, or hey, you're in wherever you are, we have the best place to eat here in Southern California. So veganism for you obviously is something that's very fun. Can you talk about your videos? Because I'm sure that anybody who's a fan of or has seen your videos here wants to hear more about them. You know, where did the idea come from? And you said you do these things all day long, but tell us more about the videos, the backstory of that.
Well, veganism's fun, except for the fact that we're obviously all wasting away, and even to get up on the stage, we all needed B12 injections. Every morning when we get up, we take a B12 injection. It gets us to our next syringe around the house. We have to strategically place it. Lest we just fall over out of no power in our bodies. That's what happens. But no. So so the videos kind of came about by kind of twofold. In one sense, I've had virtually every job in the world at this point, and everything from a 6th grade science teacher to call center to selling music equipment, everything. And in every lunch hour, or lunch half hour, or 15 minutes, whatever you get, the discussion happened to always be my lunch. And what? You're vegan? Just for some reason, every day that was the topic of discussion. And so people always ask, well, what do vegans eat? And even though they obviously saw me make it, and actually they saw me eating things, and they were like, wow, that looks good. That was really good. But what do vegans eat? And so you can't really answer that with, oh, I eat broccoli and chickpeas and tomatoes and onions and things of that nature. You have to answer with whole meal ideas. And it'd be like for a meat eater saying, well, someone asking a meat eater being like, what do you eat? And then you have to go into excruciating detail to describe what a hamburger or hot dog is. And you have to, and even then, they know one thing that you eat. And after 30 minutes of explaining, well, it's this and this, and you wrap it, it's an intestine. And even then, it's difficult for them to get a grasp of what do you eat. So I wanted to just say, watch the videos, and to show people that vegans don't just eat vegan stuff, and that you would think of at places. I mean, it's pretty normal stuff. It tastes really good, and it's not some magical stuff that you can only get at a health food store. And it's a lot of the stuff that was around even before we invented food. And so that's pretty much how it came about. And then since I'm a musician and I like to cook a lot, and I think that I eat really good food, and everyone that has my food really enjoys it, and said, well, I want to give this to the world and show this to people.
Very cool. I'm imagining, and I'm hoping that when you were a 6th grade science teacher that you looked exactly like this. Biology. Very cool. One thing, that people often say, about veganism is that that one of its greatest challenges would be access. And we hinted on this and touched on it earlier today, or just at the beginning when we talked about, 20 years ago it was a different game. Like 20 years ago, as I said, in Seattle was one restaurant. I don't think the Globe was around yet, so it was Bamboo Garden, and that was it. And now, of course, Seattle's become this mini vegan mecca, and of course, Portland, Oregon is the vegan mecca of North America. There's 50 some restaurants or something, and places to eat there. But access is still at times challenging, so it seems.